Hello, good evening, everyone. You're welcome to an introduction to information security series. I am Patricia Emmanuel. I'm an IT consultant, trainer, and mentor. I specialize in quality assurance and security assurance. I have a degree in mathematics and I have an MSc in information technology, including other certifications within the software development niche and also the information security niche within the IT sector. And with me here tonight is Biodun Agbileche. Is a guest speaker tonight, and I've invited him to come and help us and demystify the IT security space. Because what people would say cybersecurity, information security, people want to go into different, people are looking into going into that sector, but there is a bit of confusion there. He's going to help us throw more light into it tonight. But just before I go on, I would like Biodo to introduce himself briefly, and then I would go on to the next thing on the agenda. Thank you very much. Biodo, if you can unmute and speak, that would be great.
Yeah, hi. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're listening from. Thanks, Pat. I'm Biodun Agbileche. I'm a certified information systems auditor. That's CISA, even though it says that, and it relates to my current role, because I'm focused mainly on IT audits. So I guess I'll just leave that for now, and later on take on a few of your questions.
All right. Thank you very much for that. So what will you learn tonight? You'll learn about information security, a brief introduction into that, elements of information security, and why should we practice information security? Then some information about careers in information security, and then we move on to the Q&A session. So of course, in this digital age, information is as valuable as any physical asset we own. So it's important that we protect uh, these assets properly and effectively. So what is information security? It's the practice of protecting information from unauthorized access, use, disclosure, alteration, or destruction, regardless of its form. All right. And why do we need to practice the protection of our information? That's a very important question. I will get onto that, and you all know, you'll see why. Now, we want to ensure that our information are safe. We want to ensure that our information are not disclosed to unauthorized individuals or exposed to unauthorized systems. And that is confidentiality. So it could be within an organization, customer data, employee records, or sensitive documents. So these sort of information, sometimes they are protected by various use of encryption or secure password and access control. I'm sure if you use Excel, if you've used Excel before, you know you can password any of your Microsoft Word documents, of course. So why are you putting the password? Because you want to ensure that the information that is not exposed or disclosed to an unauthorized individual. All right. And also integrity. So we want to ensure that our information is accurate and complete. We want to ensure that any data that we have is protected during the course of it being transferred from one system to the other, no alteration happens. An unauthorized person hasn't got the ability to tamper with it. So all of these protection practices are achieved through specific uh, applications, all right? And of course, availability. You also want to ensure that you're able to retrieve your data. You are able to retrieve your file. And when you retrieve it, it's exactly the same way you expect it to be. It's maintaining integrity, and it's not being tampered with, and it's exactly as it was when it was originally created. And of course, you have access to your data. So when we say access, that means you are authorized. An authorized user is able to access his data. So your data is protected, and you have across all the storage mediums, wherever they are stored, you are assured of confidentiality, you're assured of integrity, and you're assured of availability. So in practice, these CIA principles, it's called the CIA triad. So keep that in mind. So this actually, every data or information that you have, you know that you are assured of its confidentiality, integrity, and availability at any point in time. So that's the objective of information security. Then why do we practice information security? You can say that I put in a link in there. So that particular link shows, if you're able to go on it, maybe after this class, you would see the qualitative and quantitative report of cybersecurity breaches. Okay, so I'm sure you'll hear information security, cybersecurity. I'll be using them interchangeably. In the industry, it's used interchangeably, but of course, cybersecurity is like a sub domain of information security as a whole. So keep that in mind. So why do we practice information security? Is essential for so many reasons. Now, we want to ensure that sensitive data is protected, all right? We want to ensure that these information and data, which most of the time they are subject to strict regulatory requirements, and how this information are handled and protected, it's really important to the organization. And that is why we have a lot of regulatory bodies. We have GDPR, any business operating in or within the European Union must comply with GDPR. I know that is really popular. A lot of people know about that. The General Data Protection Regulation. Yes, that's what it means. And of course, we want to avoid any sort of financial loss. You can imagine if a breach occurs and hackers have access to customer data in a financial service company for some reason, because the system, because they've been able to exploit a weakness in the system. You can imagine the kind of loss that organization will go through, and not just the organization, the customers, they would lose money. The organization, of course, they would be subject to legal scrutiny, and they need to make remediation efforts. And of course, this costs money. Then we have reputation and trust. Of course, no organization wants any reputational damage. And they also want to build trust with companies that they partner with. You see that a lot of companies partner these days. And of course, partnership helps the growth of any business. So they want to maintain that reputation and trust. And they want to ensure that they have a solid security practice, so that partners and customers and people who work with them, would be able to trust them and do business with them. Also, we have operations. Okay, so within organizations, we have the operational side of the business. So good information security practice in this case will ensure that data is available when and where it is needed. Why? Because other departments will probably need data to work with, in addition to them supporting the business operations. So the safeguarding of data against any data loss or damage is done within the operations side of the business. And of course, it's legal and ethical to practice information security. If I ask anyone here now, I'm sure a lot of us have passwords on our phone. Some of us even use our thumbprints. Let me go back. Some of us even use our thumbprints. Some of us even use our face. Our phones are enabled to take our biometric details and secure our phone. So it's ethical, it's legal to do that. And in addition to that, we have national security. Yes, that is important. On a wider scale, information security is critical for national security. So every country have their own they have their own information security approach, so that some generic approach across countries, across board, or specifically because some countries have their there are some things that are peculiar to them, of course, and they want to protect their people, they want to protect their businesses, they want to protect the government services, because once any government related services is infiltrated by hackers, it's a big problem to the people of a country. So it's important that we understand all of this, even personally for ourselves, so that we are aware of why we should practice information security. And of course, even when we are having conversations as well, information that is not needed shouldn't be given. All right. Thank you very much. And I'll move on to the key elements of information security. So I've got this according to ISACA. That's the governing body of CISA, CISIN, yeah, CISA Certified Information Security Auditor, and then for the CISIN Certified Information Security Manager. So according to ISACA, the elements of information security they're often discussed within the framework of several key concepts. So all these concepts and practices contribute to the protection of information assets. So these lists have got in here. They are the fundamental elements and they are emphasized by ISACA. Governance is a key element of information security. Yes, if you think of it as the rules and direction for how an organization should operate and stay safe and stay effective. Yeah, so I will go further than that. So that's just a simple explanation. And we have risk management as well. This is about figuring out what could go wrong, the likelihood of an event leading to loss happening, and how do we manage that? So risk management covers is that element of information security in that regard. Then we have the compliance. Compliance from the word comply. I'm sure you all know what comply means. So compliance means following the rules. So if your governance is setting the rules, just the governance is setting the rules, compliance is following the rules set by authorities. So we have laws and regulations for a company. We have laws like GDPR for protecting personal data. And, it's like you're driving a car. For everyone that drives there, you need to make sure you're following the traffic laws to avoid fines. So that is compliance. Then we have information security management. So this is totally about using the right tools and procedures to keep the company's assets, to keep the company's data, to keep the company's server, to keep the company's systems, to keep the company's applications, think of anything an organization would have. So that is the management of, that is information security management. It's just like you installing locks and security in a house to keep it safe from burglars. So that's a simple explanation. And please, if you do have questions, put your questions in the chat, and we'll take it at the end of this class. So, and we have audit. I'm sure we are quite familiar with audit. As something that requires checks. Okay, so it's a process of checking to make sure that everything is working as it should. Auditors look at company systems. Auditors request for documentation. Auditors request for evidences. Or they request for all of these things so that they can confirm that they are secure and all the rules and plans are being followed. So I'll move on to business continuity. Of course, if an incident happens or a breach happens, so an incident is a breach. No, a breach is an incident, okay? So anything that could cause uh, some sort of loss, that could cause some sort of disruption to normal business activity, is an incident. Any event that would cause any disruption. So business continuity is about having a plan. There must be a plan, like maybe some people will say, what's the plan B? What's the plan in place? We're doing this now. This is the plan A. If something goes wrong while we're on plan A, what's the plan B? What do we fall back to? So that's where business continuity comes in. It's about having a plan to keep the company running, even when unexpected things happen. So it could be, say, for example, maybe natural disaster. For example, COVID. COVID happened a couple of years back, and businesses still continue. So a plan must always be in place for for business continuity. So in using an example, if you come from where I come from, originally in Nigeria, yeah, where you're watching some nice, interesting game, and they just take the electricity. So your generator is at home and ready. So you can have your lights working and you can watch your football match. And of course, education and awareness, that is what we're doing here. All right. So this is about teaching everyone in the company about the importance of information security and what they can do to help keep data safe. It is really important that employees understand, the management understand. They also have the understanding of why why every employee needs to be trained on security awareness. So I would move on from there. Of course, we have a long list of careers in information security, and some companies would choose to name them differently, but I did a bit of research and I was able to pull up all of this. But this is not is not limited to this list. Because when you see all these job titles and all, if you go into what requirements are, you will be able to find out if you're related to information security. And don't be left out. Don't be left out of the awareness part. I I have I have a friend who was a project manager for a long time, and he he was actually working on a security project and he didn't know. So until about a couple of years ago when we were speaking, and I said, "Come on, really? You worked on an IAMS project, was an identity access management system?" He said, "Yes, yeah." I said, "That's within information security, and then we got talking." So you don't know what project you could find yourself working on out there, but just to be aware and pay attention to what you're doing. So we have this list, and of course, we have some common job titles that you'd see. You see GRC, that's Governance Risk and Compliance Analyst. We have IT Risk Analyst and Manager. You have Information Security Auditor. You have Compliance Officer, Compliance Analyst. You see all the list of job titles in different forms. So I would just say I'll leave it here. All right. If anyone has questions, please ask while I invite our guest speaker. Biodun, if you're there, please unmute. Please, everyone, kindly put all your questions in the chat box so we can pick it up from there while I invite Biodun to share with us a little bit about himself. And I think right now, I would want you to share with us your journey. How did you get into cybersecurity? Did you have an IT background, or did you have somebody to guide you, or how did it happen for you? If you can share with us here, we'll be glad to hear.
Well, thanks, Pat. That's the question a lot of people usually ask. Um, I'll sort of think when I say I'm into information security and all that, although most people honestly don't understand when I say, oh, I'm an information security engineer, which is my role, my current role, or I say I'm an information security compliance or whatever. Most people don't understand what that is. So I'll try as much as possible to explain. I I didn't have an IT background, funny enough. My first degree was insurance. And I would say for me, it was more of curiosity. I've I've been in information security, as a role for about 8 years now. And however, looking back, I actually discovered I've been in that role. As most people on this call, I would try and explain to and show them they are actually in information security without their knowledge. So I've looked back, and for several years, I've been in information security for well over 10 years. Um, Now, with my current role, I oversee the internal audits for my employers, which is an aspect in information security. I manage the Information Security Management System, ISMS, which is based on ISO 27001. I manage the internal audits for the business. I also facilitate the annual external surveillance and recertification audits for that standard. Um, I also I'm also heavily involved in our PCI DSS, which is a payment card industry data security standard. I handle the internal audits for our sites based in, some of our sites based in the north of England, and all of our sites based in the south of England and Wales. So that is basically. I also handle our third-party risk assessment. And as per how I got into the industry, for me, it was sheer luck. When I say sheer luck, it was. I sort of had a project management background, which, funny enough, um, even managing the ISMS is a project on its own. So I applied for, I think that was 2016. I applied for a role which advertised that they needed a project management officer. The role was called Project Management Officer and Compliance um, Officer or something like that. And when I applied, the hiring manager, I was interviewed by the two hiring managers. One was the Chief Program Officer for the business, and the other one was the Director of Operations, who also acted as the Chief Information Security for the Officer of the business. And they said, well, the only reason why they liked my CV was they saw I worked with Balfour Beatty. I previously worked for Balfour Beatty. I said, yes, I worked as a compliance officer. And they asked me, they said, what did you do there? And I told them, because it didn't look anything strange to me, or it wasn't related to information security, or then because that role wanted someone with QMS, which is the quality management system experience and information security. Said, yeah, but that's exactly what we want. I said, oh, that's fine. So that's how I got in. I got in, and within 3 months, was it 3 months after two new hires, I now started working directly with the director of operations, and I left everything with the project management office, and I just took up the compliance officer role for the business. So that was me, sheer luck. Yeah, yeah. So that's how I got into the industry, and that's what I basically do.
Wow, fantastic. Wow. It's really interesting to hear about your story and the journey of how you got in. I mean, I think what that tells me is that uh, even if I'm a business analyst and I see a job advert that says business analyst and compliance, there's nothing wrong in me applying for it, because at the end of the
Correct.
day, yes, if I have some knowledge in compliance, probably I'm coming from
Exactly.
an accounting background or a finance background, and I'm now training as a business analyst, so I can actually transfer my compliance and finance, my compliance skills acquired from the finance or accounting background. I can transfer those skills into my role as a business analyst or a project manager, whatever it is I'm training to be in the IT industry right now. Thank you very much
That,
for
that,
sharing that.
that's correct. Can I just add, because you
Sure.
did mention accounting and finance background. Funny
Yes.
thing is, a lot of people, apart from those with that have a military background, maybe because of the regimented
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle, you find I found out that a lot of those in within the industry are actually maybe chartered accountants and things like that. Those in information security audits, which is what I do basically now. So yes, the answer to that is yes. Mm.
Thank you very much for adding that. Uh, do for clarity, was there any hardcore tech skill that you had at that time that or you needed to use for your role? I'm asking this because I know some of us are here. We are asking, uh, do I need technical skills? And the moment people hear about Python, they hear about Wireshark, they hear about all sorts of tools that we're using on within this security operations analyst niche. People just bolt like, no, it's not for me, or I don't even want to take a look at it. Well, is there any
Yeah,
technical? Yeah.
absolutely not. Zero. I'll tell you what. You talking about Python, talking about this. I know nothing about that. It's a fact. Now, um, I'm not a technical person, and I will never pretend to be. However, it does help to have a very basic knowledge in tech. When I talk about basic knowledge in tech, the normal household basic knowledge. You're not scared of a computer. You're not scared of things like that. So that's it. However, I need to also add something which I had written down initially when you were talking. Um, we shouldn't believe information security is IT security. Those are two different things.
Yeah.
Um, IT security is sort of a subset of information security. Same thing, cybersecurity.
Yeah.
I I look at information security does not only apply to IT. I don't want anybody to get that wrong. It's not about software. It's not about hardware. It it's it's broader than that.
Yeah.
Some might look at it like it's administrative, but the fact is, almost everybody on this call here is involved in information security in one way or the other. I'll give you a very simple, very simple example. I'm sure everybody here might have maybe in whichever industry they work in, whatever they do, they've been in various meetings. And in those meetings, Pat, you did talk about PIA, which is the confidentiality, integrity, and availability.
Yeah.
Information security is about protecting that,
Yeah.
protecting the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data. Now, most of us here have, in one time before, maybe been in a meeting, and that meeting, minutes were taken by someone. Maybe the CEO was there, maybe not the CEO. It could even be a team meeting, but the details of that meeting were not shared with people outside that meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to a certain level, you've also taken part in information security. The simple security guard, the simple security guard or whichever way you look at, whichever way you look at it, who's standing, maybe they're doing retail security or whatever, standing in the store, to a certain level, takes part in information security. Information security itself is very broad. It encompasses physical security, data encryption, networking. Do I say networking? It doesn't mean you are the person that you connect all these things. No, it's you knowing the correct way for these things um, to be done. That's why I often tell people I attribute an information security person to the William Shakespeare quote that says, "A jack of all trades, um, uh, but a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one." Now, I know back home in Nigeria or even here, we hear jack of all trades. We take it as an insult. It's not. But, well, you know so many things, but you are not the master of one particular thing. That is how I attribute information security.
Mm.
Cybersecurity on the other side, on the other hand, is a subset. Cybersecurity is just you um, knowing how to use some tools to some technology uh, tools to protect any technological related threat to data. But threats to data surpasses technology. Threats to data. Your data is not only software, it's also physical, your physical asset and things like that. So even the security guard, like I explained earlier, take part in that. So when you're looking at information security from the broad view, or an information security officer, you know about multiple things. You are not a master of any of them, but you have an idea of everything. And that's it. So you don't, long story short, you don't need hardcore tech skills. Don't look at information security as a career where you need hardcore tech skills. No. Along the way, yeah, you would um, grasp a few things so that when um, people are talking, you already know what they are talking about. It doesn't mean you can't do it. For instance, if they call me, they tell me to go and work with our infrastructure team, and they start saying, "Oh, they've done this, they've done that." I'll just be looking at them. But the funny thing is, I can tell them this is the right way to do it. It's because I've broadened my knowledge, but I don't have the um uh what's the word I'm looking for? I don't have the hands-on skill in what they're doing.
Going
So I can supervise them in what they are doing. Doesn't mean I can do it. That's the way the world works, unfortunately.
All right, you ensure they're getting things done in the right way, where you don't have to
Exactly.
get your hands dirty to get it done. They need to do it.
Exactly.
Interesting.
That's it.
Yeah. Thank you. I hope you're all getting value from this here tonight. If you have, please put 1111 in the chat. I have one more question for you, and then I'll allow everyone to ask their question. So, what would you advise a newbie or an IT, a career changer, somebody who is coming from a different industry or even within the IT sector who is looking to move into the information security? What would you advise them? How would you advise them to go about it?
Okay. First things first. Like I said, don't um don't get confused about things. Like I said, a lot of people confuse information security with cybersecurity. Those are two entirely different things. Cybersecurity is sort of a subcategory of information security. Now, if you're looking to get into the career, even though I got in out of sheer luck, I still went on my own to learn more. Yep, I had the basic idea of it, but I still went ahead to learn more. So you need to be ready to find out things. You need to be ready to follow trends. Trends in the sense that you're getting information of things happening in the, well, sad to say, in the cybersecurity world. That's the first thing. Um, you need to find out about rules and regulations geared towards protecting the CIA, which is the confidential integrity and the availability of data, which is well the basic tenets of information security. Also, one very important aspect I can't overemphasize is you need to be able to understand um, standards geared towards information security. Um, when I talk about standard, um, the only one or the easiest one I would recommend, though it's not easy, but it will give you a very broad insight to information security, is the ISO 27001. Understanding, I'm not saying go and get certification. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is understand the standards, understand the clauses, why things are done. They are very, very simple things. Unlike SOC 2, I do have an experience in SOC 2. My current role, we don't have SOC 2, but my previous role we did. I've never liked SOC 2, and I gained more from ISO 27001, which is what I also use in other standards like TISAC, for example. TISAC is information security standard geared towards or created by the automotive industry coming out of Germany. So if you, that's the BMWs, the Mercedes, Audi, and co. They have their own information security standard. Now, every information security standard I have seen out there today can trace its root back to ISO 27001. And the good thing about ISO 27001 is it doesn't tell you you must do this. No, it's just a guideline on how you're meant to do things. Best practice in everything you're thinking of. Is it physical security? Is it for networking? It doesn't say you must do this. It just tells you the reason why it's best you do this is because of that. Then you also need to be curious. A curious mind, well, I've got a curious mind anyway. So I was willing to go out there and find things out myself. Without, even by the time I got my the first time which was a few months after, I think the first thing I did then was the ISO 27001 foundation exams. When I did that, and I told my line manager then, director of operations, it was like, huh? He never pressured me to go and do anything. And I said it was just out of my curiosity. You don't have to, if you're looking for a career change and all that, you don't necessarily have to go out and get these certifications. No. The only advantage with those certifications is it gives you the added push or added advantage when your CV is out there. However, you get to a stage where you're known in the industry, or when you talk, no one needs to see your certification or asks you about it. They know there's no way you know this, you know it. For instance, I hold more certifications. Personally, the only certification I put in front of my name is CISA. And the only reason why I do that is that's what maybe ISACA wants. I won't even do that. But I hold more certifications now than my line manager. But I can't say that I know more than him. No way. I know how he's ex-military. I know how many years it's been in it. And I still go to him for help. So it's not about the certifications and all that. No. It's you having that knowledge, being able to build on that knowledge. And that's it.
Oh, thank you so much for that. I heard you say SOC 2 for the sake of knowledge. The SOC analyst guys here, it's not the same SOC. SOC 2 is a standard,
No.
and it is system and organization controls too.
Mm.
So it's a standard, a framework for managing and securing customer data based on some specific criteria described within information security. So I don't want us to get confused about that. Thank you very much. You've really given us a lot of value tonight. I'm going to check the chat if we have questions there. All right, I can see. I see a question. I want to be Emmanuel. I'm reading your question, Emmanuel Emojiwe. I want to be a SOC analyst. I have a few certifications and trainings, but when I try to apply for job here in UK, a lot of them require security clearance, which I don't have and can't get as I've only been in the UK for a year. What would you advise me to do? Because this greatly limits me to just a handful of jobs from the pool.
Okay.
Did you want to
so-
leave? Yeah.
yeah, we've all been there. We've all been there where um you've got this certification or you believe you've got this knowledge, and maybe because you've not, like you said, you've only been in the UK for a year, um you're not you can't get that job because of security clearance. One thing with the I don't know much about the SOC analyst role, but one thing I know about the SOC analyst role is this: because you are heavily involved in using the tools, which is just the job, using the tools to protect the information. It means you directly have that information. Most or a lot of the companies that require SOC, SOC analyst roles or security or operations center roles have um, a lot of sensitive data. The truth is, not every business, not every organization requires one, and not every organization has one. Now, you have the what I could recommend, Emmanuel, is if you could expand your knowledge in not the technical side of things in using those tools. Go more on the information security route. You have a lot of jobs. And the funny thing is, I it pays more. Information security pays more. If you go online and you check the average pay, I think the average pay or the highest pay for a security a SOC analyst now, average pay is maybe anywhere from 45 or slightly lower to 57 grand. However, if you go in the information security route, it's anywhere from that to 120 grand. If you could grab some certifications, which I'm praying I'm able to grab, if I could add for instance, a QSA certification to my name, I'll drop everything and just use that alone, and I'll be well, not on contract, but
You'll be getting off.
definitely close to, if not over 150 grand. So the confusion in technicality is the problem there. Sadly, you've not been here in the UK for more than a year. Some users, some companies could be funny when it comes to that. It's not that they don't trust you or they don't like you. For you to get security clearance, you need 3 years minimum, I think, or 5. I don't even have security clearance. I apply for jobs that require security clearance. I tell them I don't have. If I have to get it, I'll get it. But I've never needed it. It's a fact. So if that is a stumbling block for you, look for something else. Something you can lay your hands. You have the advantage of, for you to want to go the SOC analyst route, it means you have the technical skills, or you might have the technical skills. Fine. If you have that technical skill, why don't you hone in on your administrative skills also? That combination would be great, and go the information security route. That's what I would suggest. And there are less jobs in that requiring security clearance. Only if you go for maybe a high security role, because you would then have access, whichever way you look at it, to some sensitive information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you
hope that
very
helped.
much.
Yeah.
Emmanuel, I hope that helped. Okay, Sholatu said that was going to be my question. 90% of my interviews always are, you know what, Beodo has said it all. Just make sure you take in what what you can resonate with. Give yourself the opportunity of options of different job options, so you don't get really frustrated because the jobs you're looking at, you're getting called for require security clearance. Yeah, I know. My time is fast spent. I said I wouldn't go above 10 p.m. It's been a great, great evening. Thank you very much. I say thank you very much to everyone that has joined this call tonight. I hope we'll be able to have consistent sessions where we bring in external consultants to the platform. And of course, you can get to ask your questions if you think there are some topics you want us to talk about, or you want us to bring in some specialists in on the platform, please just drop me a DM on Telegram and I would work on it. Thank you very much also to our special guest, my mentor. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. We talked about this a long time ago, and then finally we got you to come here and share with us. We do appreciate you. And I hope next time we call on you, you will be able to come back and give us a lot more information and support that we need. And we appreciate you. Good night to everybody. It's 10 on the dot. Have a